What's going on, guys? Hayato here, and today we're going to be going over part 4 of the wholesaling real estate step-by-step course on YouTube. And so hopefully you watch part 1, part 2, and part 3 so that you understand everything that's going on. And without further ado, let's just get into the video. Alright, so in the previous video, on part 3, I discussed how to go ahead and purchase a list and go ahead and skip trace them and even use CRMs to go ahead and manage these leads. So in this particular video, we're going to talk about now it's time to contact motivated sellers and how do I go ahead and do so. And so if you're not doing much volume and you want to be able to build a reputation with the seller, the easiest way to get started is through cold calling and just you picking up a phone with your cell phone and just dialing these people and saying, hey, are you interested in selling your property? So that would be the easiest way. There's pretty much, I would say, 2 to 3 tiers on how you can go ahead and do this. The easiest way, so the very first tier, the easy tier, is again to pick up your own phone and then go ahead and dial them using your phone. The second method is a medium tier, where tier 2, I guess you can call it, which you can go ahead and get a dialer from a software on Google. You can just type it up. I know Mojo Dialer is one. We'll go more into it, but pretty much you have a dialer system, a power dialer essentially, where you can call multiple numbers at once, and that way it'll be much more efficient. And tier 3, where it's, I guess it's the harder method, is to go ahead and train someone and hire someone who can outsource this to, so they can go ahead and make those phone calls for you and get these motivated sellers. So these are the 3 different types of ways that you can go ahead and call these motivated sellers. And so we'll just jump right into how you can go ahead and do so. Now, before you can even go ahead and start calling, you need to know exactly in your head how much you can offer for that property, right? So once you have the address, you've skip traced them, you have their information. Now it's time to get all the essential information that you possibly need to make your max offer. And so the way you can make a max offer is this. So one way that you can go ahead and do so is using the 70% rule. So first you need to go ahead and find the ARV of the property. The ARV is the after repair value of the property, and here's how you can go ahead and calculate the ARV. So let's say that you want to go ahead and go find the ARV on this address right here, 123 Main Street, just as an example, right? You can go to Zillow, and once you're on Zillow, you can go ahead and see, okay, so 2,500 square feet, 3 bed, 2 baths, right over here. And these estimates, you can ignore them. They're not very accurate most of the time anyway. So really, you just have to keep in mind that it's 3 bed, 2 baths, and 2,500 square feet. And so what you can go ahead and do is, once you go here to this filter section on Zillow, make sure you click on sold. So you get all the sold listings, and make sure you get the correct number of bed and baths. So 3 bed, 2 baths. And for home type, you really want, homes. You can kind of get rid of all these, but I'm just gonna leave there for now. And right over here at more, this is where the square feet becomes important. You want to put 2,500 was a square feet, right? So you want to put 250 below, which is 2,250, and 250 above what the square footage was on the property that you're doing research on, so 2,750. And so the next thing is you go down, and where it says sold in last, make sure that it is 6 months. And if not enough results show up, then you can go to 12 months so that you get more results, but let's say 6 months for now. And I believe our property was somewhere over here. Let me go ahead and do that search again. So once it's filtered through, so let's try that again. 123 Main Street here, Alabama. Click search. Awesome, this is the property again. And then just close that for now. And once you zoom out of the map, you should see a few comps. So you can see one over here, it says 505,000. It was sold for 505,000. This is 4-bed 3-bath, so maybe that's not a very good comp. This one here sold for 609,000. This is 3-bed 4-bath. And so if you want an exact 3-bed 2-bath, you can click use exact match. This might not be a great example though, because you might not be able to get as many results as I might just not get as many good results. But either way, you can see here, 3-bed 3 baths, 2,300 square feet. It's probably the closest comp that we can take. And if you click on this, hopefully we'll be able to see the interior. So you can see the pictures look really good. Usually you'll be able to tell whether or not it's been recently renovated. This looks like it may have been recently renovated, otherwise they just kept the property very well kept. But nevertheless, like, you can tell this is a beautiful house, and you can definitely tell that it's in very good condition. So the ARV could be 836,500, which it has sold for. And so that's really only the one reliable comp we have here. What we can go ahead and do again is then to make sure that we increase this sold in 12 months. So you might be able to get a few more listings. You can see a few popped up here, and you really want it to be within like half a mile away from your street. Ideally it's on the same street, or it's on a few streets over, but again, you're not going to get that every single time, but this is the best way to do it. So you can see 3-bed 3 baths here for 2,500 square feet. Perfect. That could be something that we can use as well. See again, but this one doesn't have pictures, so you can't really use it as a comp for your ARV. It's going to be very difficult. So let's try this one over here. This is 3-bed 3 baths to 2,417 square feet. And you can tell this hasn't really been updated. This home definitely hasn't been recently renovated. So really the most accurate ARV here is this one, 836,000. But again, it's the only single one. It's the only one here that can be used. So in this case, what you can do is just say, okay, well, we'll just take this 836,000 and 601,000 because it had pictures, and take pretty much the average of it. So you can say with confidence that the main street here, this property over here, the ARV will most likely be around 700,000. If you really want to make sure, you can go on Redfin, you can go to, Truly, you can go to other MLS sites other than Zillow to really get a more accurate number on what your ARV might look like. But just for this example, I don't have time to go through all of them. So in this case, we can say that the ARV is most likely going to be around 700,000 once you take an average. So that's what we're going to go with here. Alright, so once you've determined your ARV through comps and you've looked through Zillow, Redfin, whatever, you've found, okay, so this is probably what the ARV is going to look like. The next thing that you're going to need to do is come up with what the rehab budget's going to be. And the rehab budget can, it's different for every single property that you go ahead and analyze. So one property might be gutted, another one might be, tenanted and pretty much rental ready, and so you never know how much the rehab will be. My best suggestion is, if you have a property that's sub 100K or around 100K in their ARV, then you can account for 20K of rehab. If you really want to have a really accurate estimate of what the rehab would be, you can always send an inspector to go in to pretty much say, hey, this is what the estimated rehabs will be. You can also send in a contractor and go ahead and do the same thing to get an estimate on that rehab. But really, you can never really get a concrete number unless you send those people in. So for me, I usually account for 20K because I work in areas where it's about 100K ARV. But again, your area, your zip code might be different. So make sure you account for a pretty conservative number on the rehab, because more than often you or an investor will usually go above the rehab that they are estimating to budget for. So I think that making sure that you account for that for them would be a good gesture, and being conservative with your numbers only helps. So again, make sure you either talk with your contractor, your inspector to go through, or you can even ask a local agent, a real estate agent, and if they're well versed enough, they might even know, oh, this might cost about this much to get it rent ready. So that's what I would recommend to do when you're estimating for rehabs. Also, my phone died, so that's why I've changed my clothes, and I also got my mic delivered, so I'm using it now. Let me know if it's if you can hear me better, if the sound's better or whatnot. If not, whatever, but thought I might as well buy it and see how my videos turn out. So, all right. So now you have the ARV. Let's say that you determined the ARV to be like 85,000. I know in the previous example we were saying the ARV is like 700,000 or whatever. Let's just use this example for now. So let's say that the ARV that you determined for property is 85,000. You are going to estimate a rehab of 20,000 to be done to push the property up to that ARV, and you're going to have to obviously account for closing costs and whatnot. So you can put 3,000 for that as well. And then what we like to do is we like to put an investor profit of 10,000 so that the investor definitely makes some money as well. Again, this is based off of an ARV of about 100,000 or sub 100,000. So if let's say you're working in a market where the ARV is 500,000, 700,000, obviously the investor profit is going to go way up, rehab's going to go way up. And so again, take this information with a grain of salt. Every market is different, so make sure you count for the investor profit that's pretty average or normal in that market that you're in. So for now, as an example, let's just say the investor profit that we're going to account for is $10,000, and then for the wholesale fee, again, that would differ too depending on the market, but for this example, let's just put 10,000. And so when you subtract all these costs from the ARV, that should be the max offer that you're giving homeowners so that they may be interested in your offer, or you can see whether or not they'd like to take you up on that offer. So that's how you come up with a max offer, and it's really important that you come up with a pretty accurate number there. So the second option is you can use the 70% rule, because a lot of investors use it to determine whether or not the property is worth their investment. And so this is a much quicker way to do it. It's less accurate in my opinion, but a lot of investors, just use it to make sure that the numbers actually make sense. And so if you want to use it and you're on a phone call or whatever, you need to make that quick decision to give a quick offer, then this might be something that you might want to have on the back of your hand. So again, if the ARV is 85,000, the 70% rule pretty much says you take 70% of that ARV, and that would be 59,500 in this example, and you pretty much subtract that from the rehab estimated cost, and that would turn out to be 39,500. So if your offer is anywhere near that 39,500, you should be able to make money, and you should also be able to make your investors money as well using the 70% rule. But if a lot of investors like to use the 70% rule to make an offer themselves, so you might want to go even below that number. Again, it's not very accurate, because obviously just taking 30% out of that 85K ARV is not an accurate way to measure, because closing costs and whatnot might differ from different states. The condition of the property is very different, and so again, this is a quicker way to do it, but you should take this with a grain of salt, and this is a simpler way to do it, but it's a little bit less accurate in my opinion. But you can go ahead and use it for sure. Alright, so now you definitely know what to offer the homeowners, give them the max offer that you have in order to get properties under contract. The next step is to go ahead and cold call these people and make sure that you get that property under contract. So this video is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to make that part into the next video that I create. So hopefully you see me in the next video, and hopefully this video helped you understand what, how to find comps, how to come up with an ARV, and how to come up with a max offer that you can give to homeowners so that you can get properties under contract. But again, hope you guys enjoy this video, and see you in the next one. Peace.